Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel MoWorks. It's me, MoWorks, and my friend Gooba in the garage today because our shooting area got shut down. That's right, they plastered up a brand new shiny no shooting sign. So, for the next week or two, I know all day yesterday I spent about 4 hours driving around in the hills looking for a new area. It looks like just about everywhere shut down. I did talk to some locals though. I saw some people getting out of their truck with some dirt bikes, and I walked up to them and I said, hey, do you know any places to shoot left in the county? And they gave me the name of 2 roads that I'm going to check out soon, but I'm a little bit car sore from riding around 4 or 5 hours in the car yesterday. So we're going to check out those areas. More shooting on the channel soon. However, for today we're going to try something a little bit different. We're in the garage and we have an anvil and we have a forge, propane forge, and we have some rebar, and we have some hammer. We also have various grinders. Before I got into guns really heavily, I was into making knives. I haven't made a knife in a really long time, and I figured, with the shooting areas being closed down and nowhere to shoot this week, I might as well make use of a different type of weapon, that being a knife, and then show you guys kind of the process of turning a little bit of rebar into maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking a 4 to 6 inch throwing knife is what we're going to have in store today. So we're going to crank up the forge, we're going to get everything heated up, and we're going to have a knife video today. I hope you guys enjoy. So here's a little close-up of our anvil. It looks like it's a Peter Reich pate. That's what it looks like to me. Then we have it wrapped with several feet of anchor chain. And we have that all on top of this huge log I dragged home from the woods. And that is fairly stable, but this is only a 100-pound anvil, so it does shift on us from time to time, but with this setup, I find it's pretty stable. Then, like I said, we have our propane tanks moved a little bit of ways from the forge just to mitigate any fire hazard. And the forge we'll be using today is called Hell's Forge. I bought this one off eBay for about $130. You can see it has 2 burners, and that kind of helps it heat evenly if you're doing something very long. I have it capped off on one end with a saw blade, and that just helps keep the heat in on this side whenever you're doing a small blade. Here is our oil for quenching. Like I said, I haven't used it in a while, so it's a little bit sticky, but I only usually do pretty narrow stuff. I haven't done any axe heads or anything, because that's a little advanced for me. We'll get these buckets filled up with water, one for if I need to drop something, one if I just need to splash it. Using rebar. Oh, where'd it go? Using rebar, only some of this might be hardened throughout, and a lot of it's just mild steel because of the rebar isn't held to a very high regulation standard. It's just meant to be put in concrete. It's not supposed to be particularly mild or particularly hard. So it doesn't really matter if you quench it in water or oil. I'm going to quench it in oil today just because that's what I'm used to doing, and it's probably going to give us a lot more even quench than quenching in water. Alright, so we got our paper. We got it lit. Start cranking on that gas. There we go. Sometimes it's more explosive. Sometimes it's more calm. However, this is going to roar very loudly when I turn it up to full heat. So I'm probably going to stop talking now, start showing. We're going to take this piece of rebar. I'm probably going to cut it down to about, I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 inches, and we're going to make a little throwing knife out of it. I think it's going to be good, and yeah, enjoy. you guys can even see it, but it is glowing red hot. Let's start this forging video. Let's go. So I hope you can hear me, but you can see I'm forging that kind of tail end there where it's kind of wider at the base than it is in the middle. This isn't something I have a lot of experience in doing or forging, but I thought it would be an interesting tang for our throwing knife. Adds a little bit of weight to it, adds a little bit of butt to it. All right, let's continue. All right. Let me see if I can one-hand this. Sorry if I'm also loud. I can't tell how much you guys can actually hear. All right, there we go. And you start to see it take shape. It's actually going a lot better than I thought it would. It all started with me tapering that end very early on. If I hadn't had done that, we would have just had a more of a cube right now than this kind of oblong shape. So yeah, you guys are starting to see my vision of how I want this to turn out. I'm gonna do probably the final little bit of forging here, then we'll get to grinding, and then maybe quenching, and then finish work. I think that's about as far as I want to rough forge it. You can see those shoulders are starting to come in. We'll pronounce those more on the grinder. Obviously the blade portion is going to have to come to a tip. It was just getting a little thin and it was just building up a little bit too much scale each time I was putting in the forge. We're going to lose our blade if we let it go on too long, at least at my skill level where I'm at right now. Again, I haven't made a knife in months and months, so this is just me getting back into it because I can't shoot today, so I'll make a different type of weapon. But yeah, I'm really liking that kind of rounded bottom. I'm trying to decide whether I want to leave that squared off or round it off entirely and maybe try to fashion some sort of sphere at the bottom. But yeah, we'll get the grinding soon and we'll all find out together. Alright, we got our grinding set up right here. We got our wheel. We have our belt. Then over here, if we need it, we have a cut-off wheel on our angle grinder. We also have this bucket of water just in case we need to cool down the steel. We're not worried about losing our temper right now, but if we heat it up too much, it will burn the blade and ruin a part of the edge, is what I'm worried about. So we'll dip it in here whenever we think we need to, not as a quench, just to keep it cool while we're grinding in the final touches here. So something you can probably see fairly easily from the camera is that the blade portion of the knife, as opposed to the handle, it's tilted off to one side a little. You can see it's tilted off to the left. That's something I didn't catch in the rough forge, but we can probably fix right before the quench. But you can see that tip kind of taking shape there. I'm grinding down some of the hide points. And yeah, generally getting it to where I want it. Pausing the video real quick here again just to show you guys. I got most of that scale off, got most of the forge scale off, and now we're starting to see the metal underneath, the shiny bit of the knife. I am planning on putting a coat of paint on this. Last time I made a throwing knife, it was actually a throwing star. I was having a blast with it, throwing it, and then I went into the bushes and I never found it again. So we're going to put a coat of probably bright red paint on this guy. It's going to add a little bit of flair, and we're going to be able to find him a lot better if we lose him. Okay, so you can see there how I kind of had an idea of a bevel going on, that middle medial ridge right there, but I kind of lost it along the way, and I accidentally just completely blew out the back of it a moment ago. So yeah, just getting back into it. Probably shouldn't have tried to go for 4 bevels total, but I don't know, I'm having fun with it. We're going to now put a little bit of a rudimentary edge on it. You don't want to make it too fine or else it'll burn off during the final quenching process. And then, make sure that we'll finalize any little changes on the handle there. But what I did like about using this wheel grinder versus this belt grinder is that it took so much weight off that edge. It's a lot thinner than it was, so that gives us a lot better chance of actually getting this to stick into something. Now you can see we have a little bit of bevel redemption. Not quite, definitely not professional. Not quite where I want them, but that's a lot better bevel line on both sides than it was before. And again, we took a lot of weight out of it, a lot of weight out of the tip. This is probably about as thin as I want it before going into the final quench here. I'm going to hit it with a slightly less abrasive belt. You can see we have like a 3240 grit belt here. I'm going to hit it with something lighter, maybe a 1 or a 120. Yeah, and then we're going to get some of those grind lines out, quench it, and then we'll go on to the finishing touches. I don't think I'm going to anneal this guy because we're quenching rebar in oil, which might not change it that much anyway. I think it'll be just fine without annealing. We might when we get there, but yeah, again, let's figure it out together. Alright, on to the final quench. Alright, we're going to heat the oil just a bit here. Take this guy. We're using canola oil today. And it's kind of complicated to describe, but whenever the oil is warmer, it can touch more of the surface area of the knife and I believe cool it down quicker, and sometimes that results in a better quench. I know it sounds a little bit convoluted, but it does work. Alright, we're going to very slowly slowly bring this guy up to as close to cherry red as we can without burning the edge, and then we'll quench it. See, after only a couple passes, it's already getting that coloration in it, so we're going to have to be careful of that tip. Alright, I think it's time to go for it. Surprisingly, it's looking pretty good. Maybe a little bit canted off to the right here. So there's our blade. You can see during the quench it curled up just a little bit. So the idea is by laying it flat on the cold anvil that the side that is bowed cools quicker than the concave side, and that by cooling in such a manner it will bend itself back into shape. Unlikely, but it's worth a shot. Alright, I'll pull you guys back whenever it's time to sharpen it or anneal it if I decide to. So remember guys, this video started with a piece of rebar basically just like this, but I know some of y'all will hunt me down and kill me if I don't do this. So here's the file test. Obviously, the quench did not harden this very much, if at all. However, this is just a little trial knife. We're just having fun here. But I wanted to show you guys that because I know some of you would very much want to see it. Now, I have had pieces of rebar pass the file test, as in it skates instead of sticking like it is here. But this is not one of those pieces. So Teddy has come to check on us, make sure we're doing alright. Thank you, Teddy. Okay, here we are. We took about an hour for lunch because I needed to eat, the GoPro needed to charge, and this paint needed to dry, and the knife to cool down, of course. Again, the paint is so we can see it whenever it falls into the grass, just so we don't lose it like we did our last little shuriken I talked about. Now it's time to put an edge on it, and I was thinking if this is going to be purely a throwing knife, we don't need an edge all along the entire edge of the blade. We just need an edge, I'm thinking, from about here up. So yeah, we're going to finish up putting an edge on our knife from about here up and hopefully have a nice silver, red, and black just kind of quench metal contrast. And I think that will look very nice. I think this looks very nice already. You guys might wonder, will we put a wrap on the handle? I don't think we will, because even though that looks nice, in practice I've seen that thrown off the balance of my throwing knives when I put a wrap on the handle. Usually it's better just to leave it bare metal in my experience. That is some beautiful contrast in my opinion. I love the look of this. I love the red paint. I think if we let it sit for the day, that paint would hold up a lot better. You can see it already has already taken on more of a matte finish since we touched it so much with our hands. I think definitely if we let it sit for a day, it would last much longer. Wow, look at that. However, I want to throw it today, and it's my knife because I made it, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'm pretty excited about this. I love how that looks on camera. I love how that looks on person. I think it looks beautiful. Alright guys, I'm going to grab a couple thumbnails here before we potentially break it, and then we're going to have at it. Alright guys, you're on top of my head here. I'm not sure how this shot's going to pan out. To be honest, this whole type of video format's all new to me. So we're exploring this together, but I have the throwing knife here, have our target over there, and yeah, let's see if we can hit a bullseye. Very first throw. See if we got the rotations down even. Ah, no we don't. See here, let's try 3 yards back to start. 1, 2, 3. See if we get a single rotation out of this. Nah. It's always about trial and error. Trying to find out what's the perfect rotation. Let's see here. 2. Alright, there's one. Little bit of a slower throw from 6 yards. But if you look at that, hopefully you guys are in frame there, that went in pretty deep. Yeah. Alright, let's try it again. Nice. Yeah, maybe we can put it into slow-mo and see how many rotations we're getting. I want to say that's 2. Alright, so it's working out and we're able to get a couple sticks. I'm gonna see if I can throw this about 100 times. And I'll edit it all together, so it'll only take a couple seconds for you guys, but I'm gonna try to throw it about 100 times, and that will be the final portion of this testing. Let's get to it. Come here, come here. Come here, out of the way. Alright, so I know that's at least 100 right there, which means, let's see here, 6 yards, 100 times both ways. I just walked 1,200 yards. Yippee! Anyway, you can see I hit it a good couple times, but not nearly as many times as I would have liked. I do feel the balance on this particular one, believe it or not, is off. The butt is just a little bit too heavy for the front, I think. Usually I'm pretty good on the balance side, but if you look at that, it's just a little too heavy. I put a little too much booty in it. But it, I mean, obviously hits probably one out of every, probably once or twice out of every 10 throws I can get a good stick, and that could probably get better with practice. Alright everybody, it looks like my SD card cut out on me in that last little rambling segment. Anyway, to close this out, I want to thank you guys so much for supporting me all the way to this point in the channel. We have more than 1,000 subscribers now. We're closer than ever to being monetized. and you know, the state shutting down our shooting land is just a stepping stone. I'm sure we can find another place to shoot, even though it is going to take us a little while. I spent about 4 or 5 hours driving up and down the hills yesterday looking for a good place to shoot and did not find a single place. Did get a tip from some dirt bikers. Thank you if you're watching this. They told me about some roads that are about an hour and 20 minutes away from my house that I can try to find some shooting land in. So we're going to try that. But until then, we're probably going to be making more at-home footage. Maybe we'll paint our shotgun like I've been teasing for months now. Maybe we'll make another knife, maybe for a different purpose, maybe like a camping knife. If you like this forging video, let me know. I can definitely make more. But this one was just kind of done out of necessity because we don't have anywhere else to shoot this week. So thank you guys for supporting me in this difficult time. Thank you for sticking with the channel. All your likes, all your comments, all your subscriptions really do make us grow, makes a difference. Thank you all so much. Lots more content to come. We aren't going anywhere. See you next time.